You know, one thing about Mr. Hayward, wait, why don't you say where? Here, I'll tell my story after this.
My name is Nicole, and like a lot of people I see here, my former classmates on Mr. Hayward as Mr. Hayward, not as Mark. And, you know, God, what it's been 16 years since I set foot in that gym. As having him as a teacher, I now work at a daycare. And I drive, you know, the future kids to throw every morning. And go to pick them up every afternoon. Every morning I'm like, oh, hey, there's Mr. Hayward. And here's a van full of kids. Where? I'm like, oh, he's in the black Ford Focus right there. Well, where's he going? Don't we have school today? Well, yeah, but he goes up to Carl Sandburg first. And he does stuff with the gym teacher up there, and then he comes down for you guys. I'm like, oh, okay. And occasionally, you know, I'd stop and I'd get out and I'd walk the halls and go say hi to the teachers. And here's Mr. Hayward walking to the staff lounge from the gym. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Hayward. He's like, oh, hey, Nicole. And I'm like, how are you? He's like, fine. How's your sister and your brother? I'm like, oh, they're great. Oh, and what about your dad? One thing I had learned about Mr. Hayward over the years is that he never forgot anyone. No matter how many years had passed, he remembered a face and he remembered a name. Where most people look and say, okay, I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from? But he knew exactly who you are. He knew your name, and he remembered when you were at the school. And, you know, I appreciated that. That's one of those warm, welcoming things about Mr. Hayward, to let you know that, you know, out of all those years, he really did care about the students and the kids, no matter how old we got. And I heard the news on Facebook, and of course, you know, my instant reaction was, what the four-letter expletive. And, you know, before I started reposting, I did some research, found out that it was true, but by the time I reposted, it had spread across Facebook like wildfire. I swear every person who had ever had Mr. Hayward as a teacher through at least 20 years that I, you know, since I had gone to Thoreau, all knew about it. And it just proves that even in 20 years' time, he was a very well-liked, very well-loved man. And it's a sad day. That's what I also think.